Simon from Take the Fear Out the Gear. We're here with Brian from Sequential Oberheim, and he's going to run us through what we've got here today.
Indeed.
So what should we start with?
I think we should start with the Trigon 6.
Right, okay.
So are you familiar with our line of stuff?
Some of them.
Okay.
Not all of them.
All right, so we have a series of synthesizers. We refer to them as the 6 series.
Right, okay.
So it's a 6-voice synth with individual voice cards for the voices.
Oh, okay.
And the most recent one is this. So this is the Trigon 6.
This is the new one, yeah.
It was one of the last things that Dave Smith worked on.
Right, okay.
And so what it is a 3-oscillator, 6-voice synth with a ladder filter. Wow. So the previous ones we've done, like over there, the OB6 and the Prophet 6, which is over there, are Oberheim flavored and sort of sequential flavored.
Yeah.
And this is a different flavor. It's got a more raw and kind of 70s tone. So let me just kind of show you what's going on with it. So like I said, we have 3 oscillators. You have them here. And you can select the wave shapes with buttons.
Oh, okay.
So instead of a continuous wave shaping thing like on the Prophet 6, you can actually combine waveforms. And we've also got a feedback circuit.
Right, okay.
And the feedback circuit can be controlled with a classic sequential polymod. So you can actually control the amount of feedback, and it's literally like taking the audio path and routing it back into the filter.
Yeah, so when you feedback a delay line and it...
or like on a mini Moog where you take the headphone output and plug it to the audio input.
Yeah.
So you can control that, for example, with the filter envelope or with the 3rd oscillator. And if you notice, the 3rd oscillator has a low setting and a keyboard switch. And so what you can do is put this into the low setting, turn the keyboard switch off, and now it's an LFO.
Right, okay.
Independent pitch control or keyboard pitch control.
Yeah.
So you can get a lot of really interesting polyphonic effects with, multiple modulations, either through polymod or LFO or both.
Right.
And it's just got a really nice, creamy filter with a kind of chunky sound.
And it's all analog then?
It's all analog, except for the effects. So when you turn the effects on, everything's routed through a DSP, but when you turn it off, it's fully analog.
And obviously you can save programs on it?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you can
Mm-hmm. So you've got 9 banks with 10 patches in each bank.
Right, okay.
And there's 5 banks for the user and 5 banks from factory. So you can't overwrite them, but you can move them back and forth if you know the secret way.
Excellent.
So this thing is great, and we've had it out for a few years. It's still kind of bubbling up in people's minds.
Yeah,
but I think this is a classic.
We'll have to do a show on Oberheim and Sequential.
Yeah.
I think last time we saw you, we were at the one in London.
Okay.
This Synth Expo and Pedal Show.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah.
In Synth East. We were at Synth East as well.
Calc was probably there. Am I guessing?
Yeah.
So this is the Pro 3, and this is the special edition of the Pro 3. And
wow.
It's special because it has a lot of extra wood. The normal Pro 3 has no wood at all, and it has a really nice.
So it's kind of a bit like a mini Mo kind of.
I mean, that's the visual idea.
Yeah, the visual. Yeah.
But Dave's idea was that this was sort of like the ultimate mono synth.
Wow. Okay.
So you have 3 oscillators, but the 3rd oscillator is digital, and you have a whole variety of wave shapes.
Oh, okay.
And you can use the wave shapes as a sonic element, or you can use them as like a modulator.
Oh, okay.
And similar to the Trigon, there's a setting basically that gets you into a very low pitch.
Right.
So you can use it like an LFO.
Yeah.
And same thing here, where you basically drop several octaves down.
Yeah.
With a touch of a switch, basically. But it's also got a really advanced sequencer, and it has multiple tracks, so you can have note sequence track and many modulation tracks.
Wow.
And it's also got a very full complement of I/O, so it does CV in and CV out. And
is it like USB and normal MIDI, obviously?
Yeah, multiple MIDI jacks and USB. The idea being that you would use it sort of a centerpiece of maybe a modular studio.
Yeah.
Because you can use the sequencer on the MIDI output, for example, and still play the synth.
Is the keyboard touch sensitive or?
Yeah. We got aftertouch and velocity, so kind of like the normal stuff for us.
Yeah.
Just gotta adjust this guy here a little bit. There we go. So yeah, this thing is like super powerful.
How many presets, and obviously you presume you can store all your presets.
It's kind of the usual, like 4 user banks
Right. Okay.
of 128 sounds and 4 factory banks of 128 sounds each.
Yeah.
So a lot of space, really.
Yeah.
But yeah, basically like a do-it-all kind of mono synth.
Fantastic.
Digital effects and all this stuff. And this fellow's playing the Rev 2, which is kind of like one of our bread and butter kind of like working musician synths.
Yeah.
Comes in an 8 voice and a 16 voice version. And it's bitimbral, so you can have 2 4 voice patches
Right,
or
okay.
2 8 voice patches.
Yeah.
And it's got an interesting sequencer that has a note sequencer mode and a gate sequencer mode.
Oh, okay.
So you can use the gate sequencer to act as a modulator, like a
It's
complex
interesting
modulator.
they've got sequencers.
They all have sequencers, and you can add, rests and ties.
Yeah.
But it's more for like getting your idea down or like articulating some ideas in a patch you've made.
Yeah.
So this actually is the most complex sequencer on any of our stuff.
Oh, okay.
And
yeah.
and that's part of it. Ties into the idea of this as like sort of a control center.
Cool. I love the visual of it as well. That looks.
It's beautiful. Yeah.
You got the big cut-off knob in the
You
middle
can't
there,
really
just
miss
in
that.
case you've lost
can't miss
it.
it.
Yeah.
And then we can step over here,
Yeah.
and you can kind of see that design language extends to this, which is the Take 5.
Oh, okay.
So it's basically like Dave was like working with this new oscillator chip that can do a lot of interesting things, and it's
Oh,
very
okay.
small and very efficient. So what you get is an affordable 5-voice poly, and it has a lot of our kind of trademark stuff. It's got that sequencer, like the step sequencer.
Yeah.
It has digital effects. So you have a dedicated reverb and a sort of a dedicated multi-effect.
Yeah.
Oh no, it's fine. Yeah. And then the way this one works is it's kind of like the Trigon I showed you before, where your programs are on these switches here.
Yeah.
And so you've got 16 banks of 16 programs.
Oh, you got loads then, yeah.
Lots of room, and you probably recognize
Yeah,
that.
I like it. That's
Yeah,
cool.
and
That's cool.
it's basically got the sort of classic SSI low pass filter sound, 4-pole.
Did I see Dr. Mix with one of these? I know he had one of them.
Yeah. These are, I mean, this is sort of a no-brainer to me. Like, it's easy to get to a gig, and you can do most of the things you'd want to do with a synth at a gig.
Do you know some of the prices, or roughly? Or?
Honestly, I don't really know where we're at with that stuff right now because
we
of all
can look that up. Yeah,
the
that's
crazy
not a problem.
tariff things.
Yeah.
But I do know that the prices on some of these are going up
Cool.
just because of that. So we can go over here to the Prophet 6. So you can probably see it's related to the Trigon 6 I showed you first.
Yeah.
Same concept, same kind of like working concept in terms of your programs, how many programs and all that, step sequencer. But when Dave developed this, which was the first of this series, the 6 series,
Yeah.
he basically wanted to, instead of going back and redoing the Prophet 5,
Yeah.
he wanted to kind of like improve it, do one better.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you get one additional voice, digital effects, the sequencer, arpeggiator, and similar capabilities in terms of the way the polymod stuff works.
Right. Okay.
So you can use the filter envelope and oscillator 2 as modulators for these kind of preset destinations,
Right. Okay.
which is basically like a creative limitation. Like you can very quickly like set up a mod and you're not like scrolling through a menu or anything like this.
Yeah.
So this is a player's synth. That was the idea.
Yeah. So there's not too many menus, not too many.
No menus really, like
Yeah,
just
yeah.
the global menus. So
Yeah.
it's something where you what you see is what you get basically.
Yeah.
And this was also kind of developed with the gigging musician in mind. So 4 octaves instead of 5.
Yeah.
And you can still carry it in a backpack, and it's super robust. But yeah, this is like one of our most like classic instruments, and it really like represents Dave's thinking about.
It has got that
idea.
classic look to it for sure.
It really does, yeah, and it sounds amazing. These sound incredible. And so here's the thing that it's sort of like a development of, and that's the Prophet 10, which is a reissue of the Prophet 5.
Yeah.
But it adds a few extra elements, like the vintage mode, which is sort of like a way of aging the circuitry.
Yeah.
And it's got the Rev 1, 2, and Rev 3 filters as selections, so you can get the sound of those very first Prophet 5s with the SSI filter.
So were these based on the Curtis chips originally?
So Dave was using the SSI chip first.
Oh, SSI chips, okay.
Yeah, but those instruments were like notoriously unstable. So the Curtis chip was like a way of like kind of like building some stability into it, and because they basically like stayed in tune better.
Yeah.
The filter, but also I think like a more reliable source.
Obviously, if you buy a new Prophet 10 now, it's going to be singing,
these
all
are
dancing. It's not going to be like the old days.
Well, it's pretty much the same instrument.
Yeah.
Like we didn't add very much. There's velocity, there's aftertouch, there's the vintage control, and otherwise it just does all the Prophet 5 things.
And the great thing is, when you turn it on, it's always going to work.
It's hopefully going to work.
Yeah,
yes.
It's not like like a 30, 40-year-old.
No trim pots or anything like that.
No.
Yeah. And this is just the module version of the Prophet 10.
Yeah.
So the Prophet 10, it's the Prophet 5 with an extra voice board on it.
Yeah.
So if you get a Prophet 5, you can make it into a Prophet 10 by adding the voice board.
Oh, okay.
And then we updated the OS. So I guess the main difference between the old one and the new one is that you can now develop like split and stack patches.
Oh, okay.
So you can have 2 5-voice patches spread across the keyboard or stacked on top of each other, and that actually opens like very interesting new sonic frontiers that the old Prophet 5 couldn't do. You could do it on the old Prophet 10, but like that's a whole other story.
Oh, that sounds fantastic.
Yeah, so these are very powerful in the sound. There's just something about it. It just has a lot of weight.
I'll have to come and see
Texture.
you at some point and bring the Zoom and do some sound recording in that. That'd be absolutely
You should,
awesome.
yeah. And so over here, we're into Oberheim territory.
Oh, right, yeah.
And so this, the T05, is basically the Oberheim flavored version of the Take 5, but it's made with Oberheim design ethos, kind of. So, you have the SEM style multi-mode variable state filter.
Right.
You have, instead of a mixer section with knobs, you have switches for switching in oscillators.
Yeah.
Which I think they had intended as like a performance feature, like you can actually like bring oscillators in and out as part of the performance. But otherwise it has the same sort of patch structure, same effects, sequencer and arpeggiator.
Yeah, I think this is the one Dr. Mix had, and Dave Smith signed it for him, I think.
Yeah.
I think that's
was
the one,
amazing.
if my memory serves me right.
Yeah, but it's not exactly like the Take 5. It has OBX or OB8 envelopes.
Yeah.
So it has the Oberheim envelope curve.
Yeah.
And it's got that filter and that like different mode of thinking about the panel, basically.
Gives you that different flavor of sound.
Yeah. And so here we have the OB6, which was the second member of that 6 series.
Right,
and it's the first instrument that Dave worked with Tom Oberheim on. So it's got a different version of the SEM filter than this or the OBX8.
Yeah.
It's sort of a sequential flavored implementation of the SEM filter, but it does a lot of the same things. It has a polymod section called Xmod here.
Right, okay.
That's like what we saw on the Prophet 6, but with different destinations that take advantage of the multi-mode filter.
Yeah.
But otherwise, like the programming, the arpeggiator, sequencer and stuff, the effects, they're the same as on the Prophet 6 and the Trigon 6.
Right, okay.
Yeah, and so here we have like basically the Oberheim flagship.
This is the classic, isn't it?
Yeah. People were very excited for this when it came out, and because it's basically like an OBX, an OBXA, and an OB8 all sort of accessible within this thing.
That's amazing.
Yeah, because you can change the envelope type. You can change the filter type. You can change the LFO shape to get those specific sort of circuit kind of expressions of the original instruments. And then it's, you know, it's modernized. You have the OLED here, and page 2 has sort of become like a menu of options on the OLED. Although you can use it in the original way where the panel kind of changes function.
Presumably, I know I've asked you this, can you store the patches?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, so you can make all your own sounds and then store
yeah.
them. So it's just all
yeah,
cool.
and there's many locations for saving your stuff.
Yeah.
And this is another one where we've been updating it. So it has like new capabilities since it's come out, like an instant binaural mode, and a bunch of cool features that like extend its capabilities. And then up here we just have the module version.
Oh, this is brilliant. And it's obviously being new again, because I've got a friend who's got the originals.
Oh, really? Which one?
All of them.
Oh, whoa, okay. Yeah.
I think he always prays when he switches them on.
I'm sure, yeah,
But
like
with
you never know.
This is the way forward.
Very dependable, yeah, and you
Yeah,
could
yeah.
take this to a gig if you wanted to lug something of this size, you know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I like
It's
it.
robust enough, yeah.
Brilliant.
But yeah, or you could just, you know, go the light route and take the module.
Yeah, or if in the studio, just have
Yeah,
the module. Yeah,
exactly, yeah. And
Yeah.
I think I was saying before, it now has polychain capabilities. So if you wanted to do a sort of like a studio, massive voiced Oberheim, you could have up to 3 modules polychain to the keyboard.
Yeah, so you could have a huge, massive.
Huge, yeah.
So, are any of these MPE then, or MIDI too? Or was that in the pipeline maybe?
Yeah, I mean, we're trying to add it to instruments.
Yeah.
It's difficult to add like full MPE capabilities to an instrument that doesn't have an OLED.
Yeah.
Because you really need to be able to go in and assign. But this has MPE capability, not from its own keyboard, obviously, but with a controller you can unlock that stuff. And you know, going forward, new instruments will have more built-in capabilities for that. But yeah, this has a lot going on under its very simple panel.
Yeah. No, that's brilliant. Okie doke. Well, thank you, Brian.
Yeah,
for
no
running
problem.
us through all the sequential Oberheim
Yeah, anytime.
synthesizers.